This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Ombudsman Commission conducting investigations on Mosby South MP. Government will support Telecom Limited in hosting PETA conference. And foreign exchange shortage in the country explained. A very good evening. You're watching National Emtv News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister James Marape has revealed that the Ombudsman Commission has a file and is conducting investigations into embattled member for Mosby South, Justin Tchenko. Appearing on FM100's TalkBack show this morning, Marape has appealed to the nation to rise up over the Tchenko issue as a nation, as this is a national issue and our national character needs to come to the fore.
With only 2 days to go before the regional leaders begin their arrival in Port Moresby, the Prime Minister has appealed to the nation on radio and revealed the latest on the Mosby South MP, Justin Tchenko.
And I know as I speak today, Ombudsman Commission has also summoned him to answer to key questions. As leaders, we are all answerable to our public conduct. The fullest integrity must be maintained in our public conduct, including our speeches. And so he has answered to the call by Ombudsman Commission. He's fronted up, and I'm not privy of that, but he did inform me that Ombudsman Commission said they're establishing a file on this matter. And so work is happening in respect to competent authority looking into conduct of a leader of our country.
Prime Minister James Marape made this appeal to the nation.
And so I just want to reiterate my call on tolerance and forgiveness. I was hurt, all of us are hurt, that a senior minister, especially in the space of as a foreign minister, was able to make this call. He if you look clearly in, or hear clearly in his reference, he was making reference to those who are abusive to his daughter. Online in this day and age, young people are also responding online, uploading TikToks on Facebook, and you will also attract other comments that come back. And so there was a lot of negative comments posted against his daughter.
Marape revealed that national interests lie in the meetings that are about to occur with the world leaders.
We cannot profess to be a Christian nation when we are quick to respond and we are harsh in the manner in which we deal with citizens or residents of our country, or those who will be visiting us now and into the future. It is just not Honorable Justin Tchenko issue. It's a national character issue. It's a two-way thing. Our response depicts who we are. And we have to respond in a manner that shows maturity, that shows tolerance, that shows forgiveness. And so I choose to go down this path. I don't choose to go down the path of fighting fire with fire.
The Prime Minister also said that those getting paid to instigate protest and disorder must do the right thing.
Those who are sincere in making their commentaries for our country, from their place of heart, they mean well. But there are other professional commentators. I put, again, another word in, professional political commentators. Doesn't matter what good or bad you do. And most of them, if not some of them, are paid to be political commentators, professional, and I'm just scared they might go into the space of professional protesters. This is quite sensitive for our young emerging economy, a land of diversity.
While the Prime Minister has made this appeal on national radio, the unions and concerned citizens are planning a peaceful protest march tomorrow, pending permission from the police hierarchy. Rocky Iso, National Emtv News.
With only 6 days to go before the bilateral meets for the Forum for Indian-Pacific Cooperation and the U.S. President, the country's Prime Minister James Marape visited FM100's TalkBack show to give an update on preparations before the big meet.
This morning, the Board of Telecom, headed by Chairman Cedric Rondoke, Telecom Limited CEO Amos Tepi, and other Telecom board members, including FM100 CEO Carolyn Evie, gathered together for the arrival of the Prime Minister James Marape outside the FM100 studios. The first to arrive was Chief Secretary Ivan Pomaliu, followed by the Prime Minister, who was greeted and welcomed by the Telecom Board Chairman and CEO and other Telecom executives. Heading into the studio, the first order of business for FM100 TalkBack show host Hagen was the update on the visit of the US President.
US President is the most powerful man in terms of the ranking in terms of the government and political power structure. He leads the biggest democracy in terms of size of economy. He leads the biggest military on the face of planet Earth. He's a very, very busy man when he travels. His security details is such where his arrival at a venue or arrival at a town or city or a country makes the country come to a standstill.
The Prime Minister adding that the meet was not just a geopolitical meet, but demanded the need for economic expansion in the country.
So we've used these engagements at government-to-government level to migrate to residual benefits in ensuring that the business opportunities prevalent in our country is tapped in and upon by us locally as well as US-based businesses for production that will eventually find its way back to the US market and elsewhere. So he's coming with a clear impression on what my mindset is, what our government's policies are in respect to not just government to government at level of conversations, but more importantly, our special interest in the space of commerce, economy, trade, as we also watch for Pacific Island and our own country's exposure.
Speaking on the Indian Prime Minister's visit, Marape spoke of the benefits.
What we can produce here and selling to the market. So India brings into our PNG's picture and Pacific's picture a third dimension. Instead of just a two-dimensional, two-street walk down the path, two-street pathway, India brings to us a market that is now opening up, available in the third space. 1.4 billion people who have appetite for food and energy. And of course, in the global conversations on forest conservation to offset carbon footprint, etc., India itself is a powerhouse. It's not a small country coming to us.
As preparations continue in the nation's capital, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be the first to arrive and will be given a red carpet welcome with a 19-gun salute when his plane lands in Port Moresby on the evening of Sunday, May 21. Rocky Iso, National Emtv News.
Meanwhile, in just news in, Governor-General Grand Chief Sir Bob Dadai, through Gazette Hall number 366, has Monday, the 22nd of May 2023, as a gazetted public holiday throughout the National Capital District only. This is to mark the occasion of the visit of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Sitiveni Rabuka, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden, the New Zealand Prime Minister Chris Hipkins, and all Pacific Island leaders. Prime Minister James Marape has stated that his government will support Telecom Limited in hosting for the first time in PNG the Pacific Islands Telecommunications Association. The conversations, which centered on PNG playing host to major events including the upcoming World Leaders visit on FM100's TalkBack show, moved the discussions for Peter 27.
The nation's very own telecommunications provider Telecom Limited has been hard at work behind the scenes preparing to host the Pacific Islands Telecommunications Association 27th meet. Telecom Limited Board Chairman Cedric Rondoke gave an overview of PITA.
The PITA organization, Pacific Information Technology Telecommunication Association, is not a new association. It has been around for many years, 60 plus years. It has never been hosted in any of the Pacific Island countries, even though we are members. Telecom, at some stage, was not a member, but then we went back to it and we are members of it. It has never been hosted in this country. So with all the activities of
The Prime Minister James Marape will be out of the country in the Republic of Korea when the PETA meet will be held in Port Moresby, and Telecom chairman revealed that Deputy Prime Minister John Rosso will be there to take his place.
And we have asked the Honourable Prime Minister to come and be our guest speaker, but because he's got some commitments, he's written to us and he's allocated his Deputy Prime Minister to come and be the guest speaker there. So we are very happy to host a PETA conference here in PNG. We are working together with our shareholder, KCH, and our Minister's Office. So we will be hosting that later this month, and we expect all the delegates from all the member countries on this association will be coming.
Over 300 delegates are earmarked to be making their way for the event, and sponsorship of hosting will be taken care of by Telecom Limited and its partners. Mr. Rondoka revealed that sponsorship for hosting is still open to corporate houses.
I think a lot of the traveling expenses and that is met by the association itself. We will be only hosting it and the hosting costs in the facilities and that, so that we are doing it with sponsors from within the country, including our shareholder and some of the communication companies here and our sponsors. We have written to them and they are coming forward with money to facilitate for this conference. It's first of its kind, so everybody's happy to chip in and we are looking forward to the conference.
Prime Minister James Marape said his government will support Telecom Limited in hosting PETA.
The world today and going forward is ICT-based. We cannot be left behind. ICT underwrites the platform in which commerce and economy rides on, health rides on, education rides on, our people make connections on. So it's very, very important for us. We will support Telecom in hosting PETA.
The Prime Minister also took the time to call on Papua New Guineans to go local and use telecom products.
That was put in place, and today we're working to ensure Telecom as a company steps up, gets up, and consumes a substantial part of the market. For Papua New Guineans who believe in the TalkBack PNG philosophy, pick up a telecom, engage communication in a telecom. If you're burning the same energy fighting on someone who are primitive to the segment of a community who feel that and it's offensive anyway.
PETA was formed in response to specific regional circumstances back in 1996 with the goal of providing a forum for those involved with telecommunications in the Pacific to exchange experiences, to help formulate solutions relevant to the region, to provide training opportunities and the regular exchange of information, and to be a Pacific voice in the international communications environment. Rocky Iso, National Emtv News.
The Minister for International Trade and Investment, Richard Maru, has announced that the country-to-country trade and investment relationship between PNG and Australia has been in the favour of Australia, and they have not done enough to support PNG to increase its exports. Minister Maru challenged Australia in his keynote address at the 38th PNG Australia Business Forum and Trade Expo in Port Moresby today.
The plenary opening of the Day 2 of the Australia-Papua New Guinea Business Forum and Trade Expo happened today at the Hilton Hotel in Port Moresby. Keynote address was made by the Minister for International Trade and Investment, Richard Maru, and Senator Tim Ayres, Australian Assistant Minister for Trade and Manufacturing. Minister Maru, when giving his address, pointed out a challenging statement to Australia, saying that PNG, for the last 47 years, trade has been in the favour of Australia. He reasoned that PNG's exports to Australia are mainly gold and other precious metals, which comprise over 98% of exports, which means less than 2% are from the non-extractive sector and is valued just about 50 million kina per annum. Whilst PNG's imports from Australia is estimated around 1.5 billion kina, Maru said that this is a huge trade imbalance. He called on Australian businesses to seriously invest into emerging business opportunities in PNG and in particular partner local SMEs and PNG-owned companies. Meanwhile, Australian Assistant Trade and Manufacturing Minister Senator Tim Ayres said trade between the two countries is not always on the commercial aspect of it and alluded further.
Although there are vast commercial opportunities for all of you in the relationship and for new participants too. And I echo Minister Maru's call. At the beginning of this, the most consequential of decades, it is a good time for Australian and Papua New Guinea businesses to consider afresh the opportunities and the joint drive of the two governments to achieve our objectives.
He further stressed on Australia's commitment with PNG.
We want to invest in a way that aligns with the priorities of the Papua New Guinea government, that identifies new trading opportunities, that creates high quality local jobs, delivers real local growth, offers the best value for money and does not create an unsustainable debt burden.
More trade and investment strategies are underway for the two countries. The core agenda of PNG's Ministry of International Trade and Investment is to progress development in the Special Economic Zone projects. Furthermore, this afternoon, the two ministers travelled up to the Paga Hill Development Project area to see the development taking place. PNG is focused on its trade and business priorities with Australia, with a shifted agenda in terms of trade negotiations, and with the main aim of securing the future of Papua New Guineans. Grace Papiali, National Emtv News.
National Emtv News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National Emtv News. The issue of foreign exchange shortage was explained today by the board chairman of Bank of Papua New Guinea, David Toa. This was discussed today at the 38th Australia Papua New Guinea Business Forum.
Bank of Papua New Guinea Board Chairman David Toa has emphasized on the fundamental issue of foreign exchange shortage. He said there is not enough supply of foreign exchange to meet the demand for it.
BPNG is well aware of the issues faced by business in accessing foreign exchange. There are many varied and somewhat complex reasons for this. But the fundamental issue is that there is not enough supply of foreign exchange to meet the demand for it.
He said with the country's heavy reliance on imports and vulnerability to be affected by global events like the Russia-Ukraine war and the past COVID-19 pandemic, he explained the measures BPNG takes.
In order to cushion PNG from these shocks, it has been necessary for the BPNG to maintain our currency at a certain value and to provide regular currency interventions to ensure necessary flows. The issue of excess demand remains.
The topic of free currency in the longer term was raised by Toa.
Earlier, I referenced the parlous state of the economy in the 90s. In September 1994, we did run out of cash. Foreign reserves were depleted down to PGK 33 million, at the time US 28 million. And we were forced to devalue our currency overnight and float it a month later. We simply don't want to be faced with that situation again. So we must act when we have the opportunity to act rather when we're forced to act.
He concluded that things will be different in the future, and he believes that with the way forward is with the IMF program, which was signed to recently by the PNG government.
The basic premise of the program is that PNG will make a gradual move to greater exchange rate flexibility and introduce appropriate mechanisms to enhance monetary policy transmission. The Central Bank supports such a move, but it will have to be done carefully and advisedly.
Grace Papiali, National Emtv News.
Assistant Minister for Trade and Assistant Minister for Manufacturing, Senator Tim Iris, today did a site visit to PNG's very own Queen Emma chocolate factory in Port Moresby today. The Australian Senator encouraged that good employment opportunities is important as the quality of production in the work of manufacturer.
During his remarks, the senator expressed that Papua New Guinea can be a country that makes things for the world, as well as a country that exports products to the world.
And Papua New Guinea can be a country that makes things for the world, as well as a country that exports product to the world. And I'm really proud of Australia's role supporting this development, making sure this happens, working with you at the management level.
He went on to express his gratitude towards the partnership PNG and Australia have in this regard. Group CEO for Paradise Foods, Michael Penrose, shared the same sentiments, saying the collaborations that the Queen Emma Chocolate Company has had in the past couple of years had enabled Queen Emma's chocolate to become better in terms of chocolate quality and engagement with growers. He gave an insight as to what the company expects to encounter this year.
2023 for us is a breakout year for Queen Emma chocolate. We're going to commence upgrading the chocolate plant that you see today. Currently we do about 20 tonne a month. With the upgrade, by the time it's completed, we should be doing 100, 120 tonne a month. So we're going to increase capacity by about 5 times. Obviously that means we're going to be needing to buy more cocoa, which gets more growers involved.
The Queen Emma Chocolate Company is a subsidiary under Paradise Foods Limited. Although Papua New Guinea is a main producer of cocoa and is one of the 23 countries recognized by the International Cocoa Organization for its high-value fine-flavor cocoa, Paradise Foods Limited is the only chocolate manufacturer in the country. Natasha Ovoy, National Emtv News.
Remote Molo village in East Pangia LLG of Yalibu Pangia District, Southern Highlands Province, has seen an excavator for the first time this year since colonization. The road upgrade and construction is supported by the Department of Works and the national government by having contractor EMK Construction doing the work since last week. Molo village is the furthest in East Pangia LLG, situated at the foot of Mount Yalibu. Over the past decades, people have been walking long distances to get to the nearest Apenda station to catch PMVs to travel to Yalibu, Mendi and Mount Hagen. According to Emmanuel Kange of EMK Construction, the first kilometer clearance near Molo village is complete. The upgrade will continue past Alia village all the way to Moria village, which is also located in a remote corner of Yalibu Pangia electorate. The current project under the Works Department is seeing continuation of the upgrade past mighty Ipe River. Morobe Province launched its supplementary immunization campaign yesterday against polio, measles and rubella, with the aim to have more than 50% of the children in the province covered in this exercise. The provincial administration and the Morobe Provincial Health Authority have stepped in to assist in funding the program, which will run for 20 days.
Morobe Provincial Health Authority CEO Dr. Kipas Bingas says majority of children were not immunized in the past years and they will be exposed to diseases that will be caused by polio, measles, rubella, and in this campaign they are aiming to reach more than 50% of the children in the province. He says with the idea to push more children to be immunized at the provincial level, they have put in 700,000 kina to support the immunization exercise, which will cost 1.6 million kina. Dr. Binga says they are now targeting 142,000 children in Morobe to be immunized within the 2 weeks time frame for the exercise to be rolled out. Morobe Provincial Administration Deputy Administrator Social Services Robin Basinuk says figures have shown that a large number of children in the province are not safe because they were not immunized in the past 5 to 10 years. Morobe PHA Acting Director Public Health Kelly Macera says they have scheduled to carry out the exercise for 2 weeks, but might extend this exercise by a day or two to cover many areas as they can. Amanda Ilaitia, National Emtv News.
A water bore project at Yalu village outside Leh was opened during the weekend to supply water to the people who have not been accessing clean water since 2003.
The Yalu Water Board project is part of the 2023 priority programs and projects of Ahi Hope Foundation, funded through Ahi Investment Limited's 2.5 million kina dividend paid to Ahi Prudential Development Limited or APDL last month. Ahi Investment Limited recently partnered with Leh City Authority for this project, addressing the current issue on water supply in the village. Former ward councillor and Yalu chief Kwalam Tangapi says the first water supply to the village was built in 1997 during his term as the councillor, and in 2003 the water supply no longer worked. This impact project supports the 6th Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations in providing clean water and sanitation, as well as the 17th goal, Partnership for the Goals. Chair Lady of APDL Nellie McClay thanked Ahi Investment Limited for taking the initiative in re-establishing the water system in the village and urged the Yalu people to look after the project. Amanda Ilaitia, National Emtv News.
More than 8 buildings, including shops and tire services station at Hagen, Mount Hagen City, have gone up in flames today. The capital of Western Highlands Province came to a brief standstill at around midday today as a retaliatory attack spilled over in that part of the city.
Situation is still tense and police personnel are monitoring the city. Today's destruction follows an incident yesterday in which 2 sub-clans of the major Moga tribe are said to be involved in a conflict. According to policemen on ground, a senior member of one of the sub-clans was allegedly murdered by members of the other clan yesterday. Today, the relatives of the deceased mobilized and looted shops and buildings belonging to members of the suspect clan. Mount Hagen Fire Department assisted in putting out flames with the help of police and military, though some properties were already destroyed. Provincial Health Authority CEO Jane Holden told Emtv News that no casualties were reported at Mount Hagen General Hospital regarding today's incident. Meanwhile, Provincial Police Commander John Sagom did not respond to queries regarding the incident today, which has left the general public traumatized. Amanda Ilaitia, National Emtv News.
And now looking at the Nesfund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.2830 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.2755 US, $0.4080 Australian dollars, $0.2457 euro, 37.5 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading lower, coffee closed higher, cocoa closed lower, copra closed higher, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed higher. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National Emtv News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National Emtv News. Port Moresby's newest eatery is out to make a difference, promoting healthy lifestyle using PNG's organic products to showcase and market quality food at affordable price. The Port Moresby Food Hub had its grand opening yesterday evening, located at Soare Street Gardens. Moving on to
Port Moresby's range of cafes, restaurants and eateries have had a variety of offerings depending on the taste of your palate. From Malaysian to Indian and Chinese, a new player has come into the fray with a new offering.
But my aim here is to just change the way of serving people. Rather than me putting out more on meats, I will concentrate on putting vegetables on the table. Number one, my target market are all those from the ages ranges from 40 years old above. Okay, we know that 40 years old above, they are all professionals, and they are workaholic and they don't have time to cook their own food. If the people will going to eat a vegetable itself with affordable price, we will giving them good food, proper nutrition that our body really needs.
Arlene is originally from the Philippines and has made P&G her second home.
I come up on the Port Morris Bay Food Hub because, like what I've said a while ago, this is my second home. I'm just working here. Soon I will going back to my own country for my family. But I find people here are very accommodating. They are good people, very heartwarming, and they're very easy to please, especially about the food. So my concern is to prolong the life, especially on the elderly people, so they can still spend their time with the family.
Food Concept Limited is the mother company, and Food Hub Limited is one of the subsidiary companies that is in the business of catering and restaurant, bringing fresh local vegetables and greens from local mothers.
At the same time, those market people will going to help me to make money by selling my food to them, and I will also help them in return by buying their items, their food, their vegetable, and cooking it in my restaurant. I'm up on the pastries and bakery because I'm making my own bread by using the flour from this country as well. I'm not getting it from other country. I am using the flour from P&G. At the same time, I'm proud to have a local baker which can make good bread as well. And I am selling it in the good price in the schools and on the market so people can afford it.
The grand opening was held yesterday evening, showcasing the restaurant and catering delectables that were offered up to those invited. Rocky Iso, National Emtv News.
And moving to overseas news now, UK is sending long-range attack drones to Ukraine to help the country hit targets well behind Russian lines.
This is Volodymyr Zelensky's second trip to the UK since the full-scale invasion, and he's come with a very clear objective: to secure the weapons he needs to sustain the coming counter-offensive. He arrived in a Chinook helicopter at Chequers, the Prime Minister's country residence outside London, and he got a warm greeting from Rishi Sunak.
Winston Churchill made many of his famous speeches in World War II from this room, and in the same way today, your leadership, your country's bravery and fortitude are an inspiration to us all.
To coincide with the President's visit, the UK has agreed to provide hundreds of extra air defence missiles, but also attack drones with a range of more than 200 kilometres. That will allow Ukraine to attack command centres, logistics hubs and ammunition stores well behind Russian lines. Another thing Ukraine really wants, though, are fighter jets, preferably F-16s, which the US is reluctant to provide. Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukraine needs to control its own skies, and he wants to build a so-called jet coalition.
I'm very positive with it. We spoke about it, and I see that in the closest time you will hear some, I think, very important decisions, but we have to work a little bit more on it.
The UK says it has no current plans to provide its own jets to Ukraine, but it will help train Ukrainian pilots. As for the much-anticipated counter-offensive, well, the Ukrainian military says there is no one point at which that will begin. In fact, we may already be seeing the early stages of that, but Volodymyr Zelensky says the substantive part of the operation is still some way off.
We really need some more time, not too much. We'll be ready, in some time. I want to be very honest with you. I can't share with you some days. I just don't want to prepare. Not for our friends. There are no secrets from our friends, but there are some secrets from our neighbors. That's why we have to prepare.
It's been a busy few days for Vladimir Zelensky. We've seen him in Berlin, Rome, Paris and now the UK. But he won't be leaving empty-handed and can return to Ukraine with a promise of a much bigger arsenal to support his troops as they try to push Russia back.
In Turkey, the country will have an election that will decide once and for all the winner of the country's presidential election.
After weeks of tense anticipation leading up to Sunday's presidential election, Turks right across the country have started the new week in a state of limbo. Neither of the main candidates secured enough votes to claim outright victory, setting the nation up for a second round of voting in 2 weeks' time. Incumbent President Recep Tayyip Erdogan holds a narrow lead heading into the runoff, but is sure to face an even fiercer challenge from opposition leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. On Sunday, the polling itself seemed to go smoothly, but it was the evening's count where things started to get murky. Differing tallies and competing claims between state media, political parties and Turkey's own election authority made knowing who was ahead and by how much difficult to track. The nation's Supreme Election Council said on Monday, almost 24 hours after the close of polls, that there's no path to majority for either candidate in the first vote. Both Mr Erdogan and Mr Kılıçdaroğlu say they're confident of a victory on May 28. But not everyone is convinced.
I don't think any political party is happy with the current situation. We're all in the same boat. We'll see when we vote again in 2 weeks. People have been given time to think.
In the south of Turkey, where massive earthquakes in February killed more than 50,000 people, some of the survivors feel disillusioned by the entire process.
I want the conditions to change and get what we deserve, both for myself and for my child, because right now we are heading towards darkness and downfall.
Another big question that remains involves the third candidate in Sunday's race, who's now been knocked out. Sinan Oğan was running for a right-wing alliance and, according to state media, received about 5% of the initial vote, showing that, depending on what he decides, has left him in prime position to influence the outcome of the second round. In the simultaneous parliamentary election, Mr Erdogan's alliance won a clear majority, but it's the outcome of the presidential race that will really set a course for the country. But with such a divided electorate, there's really no telling yet what that will look like.
You're watching National Emtv News. Trukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. After 4 years of hiatus since 2019, the Papua New Guinea Defence Force Commanders Cup has been revived and will be back in action this year. This was officially announced by PNGDF Commander Major General Mark Goina in a press conference today at the Mari Barracks headquarters in Port Moresby.
In a press conference held today at the PNG Defence Force headquarters in Port Moresby, PNG Defence Force Commander Major General Mark Goina officially announced that the Commanders Cup tournament will be back in action this season.
With that, it gives me great pleasure to announce that the Commanders, the CDF's Rugby Union Cup tournament we have started the preparations and the battle lines have been drawn between all the units. So I want to wish each and every team from all the units best of luck, and may the best team win the games. Thank you.
Major General Goina says the purpose of staging this tournament is to bring unity amongst soldiers, both men and women. The tournament is also a great opportunity for the families and supporters to get together through this sporting event.
The purpose of these games is to bring esprit de corps and unity among soldiers, airmen, sailors, men and women. A good opportunity for families to come and support their teams as well. So more like a family, get together.
Major General Goina says the teams that will be vying in this year's tournament will come from Manus, East Sepik, Morobe, Central, with a bulk of the teams from the National Capital District. This year will see 10 teams go head-to-head at Igam Barracks in Leh, Morobe Province. The tournament will run for 8 days with a kick-off set for the 12th of July 2023. Lisa Punichukai Sports.
Meanwhile, also present during the press conference today was the Commanders Cup Platinum sponsor, Mount Hagen Transit Homes Managing Director Lillian Perry. Perry formally disclosed that Mount Hagen Transit Homes has committed 80,000 kina to cover for the sporting necessities of the 10 clubs that will compete in this year's tournament.
Proud to announce that Mount Hagen Transit Home is privileged to be the major sponsor of the Commander Rugby Cup 2023. For all our sponsorship package, we opted to buy all the jerseys for the 11 teams taking part in the tournament. And we committed 80,000, which will be used to purchase.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Following the announcement of the PNG Defence Force Commanders Cup today, PNG Defence Force Commander Major General Mark Goina also announced the key timelines that will take place leading up to the tournament's kickoff in July.
The first lead-up event will commence on the 27th of this month, where the PNG Defence Force will host a corporate dinner in Port Moresby.
To our sports, we're very privileged to.
PNGDF Commander Major General Mark Goina extended the invitation to corporate entities and individuals who wish to support the Commanders Cup to come forth and show support during the corporate dinner.
On the 27th of May, the PNGDF will be hosting a corporate dinner here in Port Moresby. I'm hoping that the corporate community, including individuals who wish to help sponsor the game, please come forth and be able to sponsor a table or individually turn up to support the dinner.
He went on to highlight the other upcoming events that will take place leading up to the kick-off of the tournament on the 12th of July.
On the 16th of June, the launching and drawing of teams in pools will be conducted in Leh. On the 17th of June, there will be a fundraising dance here in Port Moresby. 10th and 11th of July, we will mobilize all our teams and will congregate in Leh.
Meanwhile, on the 19th of July, the tournament will coincide with a golf challenge where participants from Defence Club in Port Moresby, as well as the retirees that are still playing in the DGC, will support all the teams across the country during the golf challenge. On the 21st to the 22nd of July, all participating units in the tournament will return to their respective localities as the games wind down. Lisa Punichukai Sports.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby and Popondetta, rain showers and thunderstorm. In the Momase region, Leh and Vanimo, evening rain showers and possible thunderstorm. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Buka, few showers and possible thunderstorm. And in the Highlands region, Old Centres, evening showers and possible thunderstorm.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Tuesday, the 16th of May, 2023. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.